And finally, welcome back to the Passionate Pioneer podcast, series 2, episode 30 already with Adrienne Harris, reclaiming your radiance after divorce. We're both laughing here because I've just been trying to connect us to Instagram as well, and technology would not let us do that. So here we are just on Facebook today. So welcome, Adrienne.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your patience in me trying to organize the problems, which I didn't, but yet here we are. And as entrepreneurs, we know we just have to go with the flow in the end, don't we? So
Absolutely.
anyway,
Yeah.
you know me. I'm Beth, also known as the Passionate Pioneer, and my motto is empowered women, empowered lives. And this podcast is your doorway to passion, spirituality, and joyful living. So let me introduce my guest. Adrienne is a numerologist, self-love and relationship coach, and a spiritual guide who helps women reclaim their divine feminine energy after divorce. After navigating her own journey of heartbreak and transformation, Adrienne emerged as a beacon of wisdom, empowering women to step into their feminine essence, rebuild their confidence, and create relationships that honor their worth. With a blend of numerology, divine timing, and solar aligned strategies, she guides women to trust the process and embrace the life they were meant to live, sorry, or meant to lead, even, right? Either one of those works. But welcome again, Adrienne, and welcome to the Passionate Pioneer podcast.
Thank you. I am so passionate about what I do. So this is like the perfect place for me to be today.
Yeah, it's great. And we were just having a quick chat before we started about numerology, which I can't wait to dive into later. But let's start with always my first question, which is a tongue-in-cheek question, which is what ignited your passion for this industry and numerology and relationship coaching? Was it a lifelong dream, or did it emerge through a journey of discovery?
It was the journey of discovery. It was probably about if I actually look back in my own divine timing, it was about 8 years ago that numerology came into my life. I had no idea. I was raised as an atheist, so I had no religious background. And yeah, numerology found me. It was me jumping on a workshop and calculating my ruling number, finding out that I was a master 11, meaning that I'm supposed to be a spiritual teacher. And literally my soul was like, okay, we're doing this. And all of a sudden I went from a very successful property services company to selling that to becoming a yoga instructor to becoming a lifestyle and wellness coach and then now becoming a numerologist and a relationship coach. So yeah, it's been a fun path for the last 8 years. Unfortunately, there's a marriage that I left as well during that period of time too. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's the relationship, isn't it? Helping women in after divorce.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I think what happens, and it happened to me and it happens to many women. And we're going to just tie this back into the numerology system because in the numerology system that I utilize, we actually go through a rebirth at age 45. And there's a reason why we have this midlife crisis going on in the world right now is because this numerological system that has been hidden from humanity, it is there to help guide us through these energies. And so I didn't know that until I actually do what I do now. And it happens to a lot of people, and they wonder why.
Isn't that strange? 45, it is the midlife. Well, that's when, I mean, my life had changed my 20s, 30s, 40s, and again in my 50s. So I've had decades, every decade something changes for me. But I do remember 45 was one of the pivotal moments in my life where I changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
45, 40. I made the decision when I was 45, and at 46, I made the change. Took me a while to put
Yeah.
everything together, the pieces together. And because when you're making big lifestyle changes, and I was moving from one country to another, selling property, etc. So it was a big thing. So it take leaving a career, starting a new one. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
But that happened. I started thinking about that, and the light bulbs were going off when I was 45. So that is interesting. I wonder
It
how
is.
many of our audience will resonate with that as well, Adrienne, that 45
Mm-hmm.
is one of those. Is that the same for men as well, just out of interest?
It is, yeah. Actually, it's funny because my ex-husband, that was when he changed something in his life, and someone came into our life, that had an impact on our marriage. And so, yeah, it happens to everybody,
Right.
and and some people it hits them subtly. Other people, it's literally like, let's just like take the whole basket and just throw it up in the air and see what lands. Everyone has their own life path, their own energetics, their own energetic code. And I am a true believer that our soul chose our journey. Um,
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and people get really upset when I share that. But at the same time is that I truly believe, as you know, souls having human experiences, that we're here to take our pain and turn it into purpose.
Yeah, that's lovely. I love that. Yeah, turn our pain into purpose. And I think it is that the more I read stories and the more women I talk to, um, it is those traumatic events that catapult us, for want of a better word, right?
Yeah,
Into the life that we were meant to be living.
yeah,
We've been going along just, playing the dutiful daughter, dutiful wife, dutiful girlfriend, dutiful sister, dutiful everything, right? Worker bee, career woman, whatever you want, fill in the blank, right?
yeah.
And then we have these traumatic moments, which actually, come as a in the tarot they call it the tower. In the tarot cards,
Power
it's the
moment.
tower. It's the tower moment. It's when everything explodes and
Hmm.
and everything breaks down. But I do believe that that is, and like you, I do believe that we have a soul path. We should be very happy right now. People can't believe this, that with the world in chaos. But I said, you chose to be here at this time and this great chaos, this great awakening, these great planetary shifts in astrology, these amazing moments that this planet is going through right now. It blows my mind, and it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, going, oh
Yeah.
my God, what did I sign up for, really?
Right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just touch on that, because you obviously, as the relationship, but then it's the
Hmm.
relationship coaching. But
Yeah.
how do you weave in the numerology, and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we are all energetic codes. And so I actually, and this is just my take on it and my belief, that numerology, it's the study of the energy of the numbers of your birthday. So for instance, I looked at your chart, we kind of, I kind of just said a few things to you and you were like, yep, yep, yep. And so I want you to think about numerology like a Russian doll, because those Russian dolls, they come in layers, just like our numerology code. And so I look at your ruling number to start with. I'm a very sensitive person, and I didn't know this growing up. And so I was told a lot, you're too sensitive. And then when I start to understand my actual energetic code, I'm like, actually, my sensitivity is my freaking superpower. So don't tell me to tuck that away. And so this is where I work with people on a spiritual, energetic level to help them understand themselves so they can love themselves. This is what we're here to do as souls having a human experience. Our goal is to learn how to love ourselves unconditionally. All
Hmm.
of the bits and pieces and parts, if we got straight hair, we got curly hair, we got, chubby bits here or whatever that is, we are here to love ourselves um and really lean into that true essence, because when we have a relationship with ourselves, then we can have healthy relationships with other people.
Wow.
And I focus on three main things within my coaching, and that is values, vision, and lifestyle. If you don't know who you are as a person, as your values, then how can you tell someone and set boundaries with them and ask for your needs to be met if you don't know that about yourself? Your vision, who are you? What do you want for your life? I want to be standing on a stage telling people all about numerology, and I am now with a partner who supports that. Before, I was in competition with somebody and they wanted the spotlight. And so I am now in a healthy relationship with someone who, is like, sends me a voice message after he listens to my podcast and says, "Oh my God, you are just freaking amazing." And then, when it comes down to my lifestyle, I'm very specific about my lifestyle. I've learned that I'm sensitive and that I can't eat certain things and that I want to be, healthy when I get into my old age so that I can go and have fun and adventure. And so these three things are a major component to what it is I do when I work with people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that that
So
is that is amazing how it what was it? Vision, values,
values, vision, and
values.
lifestyle.
Yeah, amazing. Because values is really important. There's so many. As
It
I said,
is.
when we wake up, when we start waking up, which, actually, I mean, I was coaching women in their 40s and older. Now I find they're getting younger. Women are
Mhm.
sort of going through midlife crisis younger than 45,
Yes.
actually, at the
Yeah.
moment, Adrienne. I don't know whether you've noticed that, but
Yep.
they've suddenly started to go, I'm not sure what I've got a husband and two kids here. What am I doing? Right? Have you
Yep.
noticed that?
Yeah, yeah, I have. I actually have a lot of like 33-year-olds. Like that
Yeah,
seems to be a big shift. And yeah, but I would say the majority of my clients are in their 40s. And
yeah,
because I've been there and done that and gone down that journey and that path, I can still relate to them. I'm 51, turning 52, and I think that at this point in time, it's also the wisdom that I have gained along my own personal journey that
right.
I can lend that and I can relate to that age group. So this is why I call midlife. Midlife is literally like, mid 30s to like 60s. Because soon
Right.
as you get to that 60s, you kind of stop giving fucks. So,
Yes.
oops, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Absolutely. Go ahead and swear. Um, You do, absolutely. You start giving an F about anybody, anything. You just don't care anymore. You just try anything. You'll do
Mhm.
some stuff. Not the crazy stuff that you did in your 20s. I'm not talking about that, but you learn putting in boundaries. You understand your values a lot more. You understand
Yeah,
that, what you understand there's a balance of there's sun and there's night, there's moon, there's dark and there's light,
yeah.
there's contrast everywhere, and you understand more that from experiencing what you don't want comes what you do want, and sometimes that becomes clearer as you get older.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Right.
didn't know, becoming a professional numerologist, I honestly feel like my 40s, I kind of just flailed, right? Because it's been the past 8 years. And so, I even went through my own transformation. And that's what I do is that the first step to us actually understanding who we are is awareness. If without awareness, we're not anywhere. But then we go through the divine timing cycle. And so we are not meant to stay a caterpillar. It's not supposed to happen that way. We're supposed to transmute and transform into these beautiful butterflies because this is part of our divine timing cycle. We have to learn how to transmute energy and integrate the lessons and the experiences we've had so
Yeah.
that we can step up and help other people.
It's what I talk about all the time, actually, and I've got a thing with a speaking retreat coming up, and it's how do you get unstuck in your life, and it's all about spirituality and energetics and intuition and how they combine for joy, because most people don't have joy in their life,
Yeah.
right? They just don't
Hmm.
have it. They don't know. If you say, well, what brings you joy? What do you mean? Right? It's like a
Right?
total blank across the face, right?
Yeah.
But it is. I've looked at numerology before, and I've delved a little bit into it. As I said, we were talking just before we started. So you left this business that you had, and you sold this other business, and you said that was about 8 years ago, yes?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then your journey started with yoga.
Hmm.
And then did it develop quite rapidly after that?
It did. And it's so funny because, like I said, we sold our business. I tapped into like living a healthy lifestyle because, and this is what I do is I was so burnt out from that business that I had. I was running that business from a place of my wounded feminine and wounded masculine energies. And this is where I shine, within what it is that I do with my coaching is because each of our energetic codes can be feminine or masculine. And so I actually just taught a beautiful masterclass on this because so many people come from this world and we have certain things that shape us. We have our patriarchy, we have trauma, we have past relationships, and those three things have an impact on us. And even in my own marriage, I was coming from a place of masculine energy because I actually have very masculine energy in my energetic code. And I've actually had to learn how to step into my feminine, which has been really, really hard. But the thing is now that I've stepped into my feminine, I just feel so abundant. I feel so creative. I feel so tapped into my intuition, which people don't realize that they actually naturally have this intuitive piece to themselves and this creativity. And it just blows my mind because we are so used to being programmed by the system and that we have to like work hard and all these other kinds of things. Not saying that I don't work hard, but I've also learned how to just let control go and just create from a place of my wounded and my spirituality and helping people and putting things out to the universe and just saying, okay, universe or God or whomever, like my hands are off the wheel. Make it happen for
Surrender.
me.
I just
Yeah,
say, I surrender. I leave
right?
it to you. This is what I want. You know what I want. So show me how.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
letting go. I'm letting you do the work.
Yeah, and I truly believe that universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, has literally, I feel like, have you ever gone bowling and they put the bumpers up on the side of the bowling alley and that ball can bounce back and forth in between those bumpers? I feel like universe has kind of been like that with me because I left my business because I was burnt out, I was exhausted, I was coming from this masculine people pleasing tendencies. And all of a sudden, I had to slow down and I came into yoga, and yoga was like, ooh. And then I was teaching for my intuition and this beautiful place of femininity and nurturing and all that other kind of stuff. And then the pandemic hit. And things changed for me. I was like, oh, so then I was an urban farmer. I was growing vegetables. I was still living in that beautiful, nurturing energy. And then all of a sudden, my marriage fell apart. And so I went back into this, masculine need to protect myself, energy. And it hasn't been until I've actually like here and now, I'm actually in my eighth personal year in my own numerology divine timing cycle. The cycles go 1 through 9. So I'm about to shift into my ninth year on my birthday in June. And so it's been a beautiful ebb and flow. And when I look back on it, I'm like, okay, Source has guided me to where I am today for a reason. And I have to just trust that this is what has led me to here. I actually did a post this morning that I'm no longer going to hide my spirituality. I'm no longer going to care what people think of me because this
Right.
is
I love that.
it.
I love that
Yeah.
because I'm the same. Now you talk, there's so much to unpack here. Let's go back to the masculine energy. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm right on board with you. I'm totally aligned with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that the masculine or the feminine energy can be tied, it's tied into numerology, right?
Hmm.
But do you also think that it's compounded by the fact that we've lived in a very masculine dominated world for centuries?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so we've got these patterns of behavior that have led us down these paths of lack and fear, control, all of that kind of thing. And the thing is we all have feminine and masculine energies in us. It's the yin and the yang, it's the duality of us, it's the light and the dark that you talked about.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that the feminine actually supports the masculine. So the feminine is the nurturing, feeling inwards. And then what it does is it hands off the tasks to the masculine to do it. And so I always say to people, like, there's some people that are just overly feminine and never actually like take action, which is actually the masculine part inside of us. I'm the person who's constantly taking action.
The masculine is the doer, right? Is the action
Right?
taker, right? That's me.
Right?
I'm like, let's go, 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 go.
Yeah. And so this is where we need to come back into ourselves. And I've just launched a beautiful creative container in March where I actually am going to be helping women step into their divine feminine. It's called Alchemy of the Divine Feminine because alchemy is all about change. It's all about
Transmuting.
transmuting. And so the thing is we've been living in this container, and I feel like this is what the collective needs right now
Yeah.
is for us to learn how to step into our feminine nature, trust our intuition, really truly step into the beings that we're meant to be. We're not meant to be slaves. We're not meant to just live and work and to pay taxes. Like,
Well,
what kind of life is that?
I said this in a podcast a few weeks ago. I can't remember who I was speaking to, but we are human beings, not human doings,
Wings. Yeah. Yeah,
right?
I totally agree. And I've come from that place of lack and fear, and it was also taught to me as a child. And so it's actually part of my trauma as well too, growing up. And so these are the things that I do when I work with people is we unpack this, we pull it all apart. And then I say to them, I said, listen, okay, you have this natural masculine energy in you, just like I do. However, you need to learn into like stopping and just pausing for just a moment,
Yeah.
even if that's just setting a timer on your phone for 20 minutes where you do nothing. You literally just sit and drink a cup of tea and maybe grab a pen and a journal and you write. That is actually tapping into your feminine energy, which
Yeah.
is so, so, so simple.
Yeah.
But people try to make it complicated, or even just, listening to meditation music. Just
Right.
literally just sit and just do nothing. Let whatever come to you come to you.
Yeah. Taking
And
a
that's
walk in
really hard
nature.
for us.
Taking a walk
Yeah.
in nature or something, even taking a bath and just relaxing with some music. Yeah,
Yes.
all of that. And it's taken me a while to understand that and get some feminine, start using my feminine energy, which I know I've got too, because, we're all sort of we're really dominated by this masculine energy. And I
Yeah.
think it's, not only in numerology, it depends. So it's bad either way. Too much of something is always not
Absolutely.
good, right? So
Yep.
we've got to find that balance. So I love that you talk about the feminine energy, and it is, and for career women, strong careers, powerhouse women, and lots of entrepreneurs are the same.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find that, because they're doing all the time. They're in their masculine, and it's very, and you can't be in your feminine all the time either, because as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
You've got to have the soft side where you nurture yourself, and then you've got to have the side where you're doing and you're creating stuff as well. Creativity comes into the feminine as well, right?
Yeah.
And surrendering.
Yeah.
And then you've got the doing, which is the action taking masculine, right?
Well, and that's what we're stepping into. So let's talk about this year energy. So this
I'd
is
like to do that.
yes.
2025 is a 9 year, right? And
Yes, yes.
I'm a nine, so
Yay!
I'm all aligned with this year, right?
Yeah, so the nine energy is actually beautifully feminine. People don't realize how feminine it is. If we look at where it sits in our energy grid, it actually sits on the masculine side, but it wants to create. It is the humanitarian. It is very nurturing. It's meant to be the seeker. And the biggest piece is that people don't understand that everything is duality. So we live in this empowered or disempowered side. So you can live in the disempowered side of the nine, which is this idealism and shoulds and all that other kind of stuff. Or we can lean into the empowered side of the nine and say, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna let go. I have this humanitarian piece within me, and I need to give back to the collective. It's part of who I am. I just ran a free masterclass and said, okay, here's my information. Go forth. And if you want to do this on your own, then go for it. But if you feel the need to connect with me, then this is the time for you to tune into yourself and really, truly take control of your life because I feel that we've passed our authority over to other people,
Oh,
and your sovereignty comes from within you, which
yes.
people don't know. So, we are just in this simulation of the matrix and this big
Oh,
game of life. And, even the cards that we play with, they are a game. And so if you
yeah.
can actually
Mm.
step out of that and see it from a bird's eye view and say, okay, what does my life look like? Am I staying in a marriage that I am being abused or being taken advantage of? Am I in a career or a job that just sucks the life out of me? Am I, like I go through each thing. Am I not taking care of my health? Like if I'm putting everybody first and not taking care of me, And then also like our emotions. We've been taught to not feel our emotions, but
Oh,
if our
yeah.
emotions are actually our superpower, and that nine energy is actually also very emotional as well too. So
Well, I've heard
this
in
is,
astrology that this year, well, from lots of different sources as well, because I've been channeling and I follow a lot of channelers and astrologers. And it all seems to be pointing in the right direction. It's there's a you're gonna go kicking or screaming. We're going into a new earth. We're moving into a new age, the age of Aquarius, which
yeah,
is an age of technology and communication, and there is chaos, systems breaking down, and
yeah,
this masculine energy being balanced now with the feminine energy. So there's a lot of what's going on in the world in the
yeah,
collective, right? In the collective
yeah.
conscious. There's
Well,
there's this kicking and screaming. Some are going,
yeah.
yay, I've been waiting for this, and others are going, no, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah. Well, and we are about to move into a one energy in 2026. The underlying piece
Right.
of that 2026 is actually a 10, and 10 in numerology in the system is the next step into the spirituality. And so we need to think about the underlying numbers all the time. When I calculate someone's birthday, I look at the underlying energy of their numbers. So I have a two and a nine in mine, and that two is my sensitivity. So again, we can show up in an empowered or a disempowered way. And I have that nine in my chart too. So that nine is pulling me towards my humanitarian piece that I feel so pulled and called to. I'm not a ruling number nine like yourself, but there's a part of me that just feels like like I'll just like jump on and do a Facebook Live if I feel the collective needs to hear it. Like, we had that
Yeah.
full moon in Leo last night, and
Yeah.
I was invited to a beautiful container of 14 other women where we had conscious conversation, which I was like mind blown that there are other people out there just like me. And that's the thing is that we have to stop hiding our spirituality,
Yeah.
and we need to start stepping up to the plate and talking about this type of thing.
Well, that's another thing. So that's I'm glad you retouched on that because I was going to go back to that and say, hiding spirituality. Because for me, gosh, I believe I was when I was 4 years old, I remember talking to spirit. I guess it was, I mean, I didn't know what it was, but there were faces that used to come to me in dreams, old Indians and very shamanic Indians that used to come to me in dreams. When I was walking around at 4 years old, I was talking to somebody. I don't know, but I was told, stop talking to yourself. It's that era, right? Where it was, and I'm also British. We're very conservative, right? You don't want your child walking down the street talking to an imaginary friend. I mean, listen, so it was all sort of suppressed, really. It was
Yeah.
suppressed for a long time in society. Um, Talking about spirits or the other side, or how your emotions, they were all kind of suppressed, weren't they, in our era from the 70s, Adrienne, and before
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
We're children of the suppressed that had to claw our way out of the dark,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
to the light, and say, finally, you said it was 8 years ago for you, and for me it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Mhm.
But it's been a real challenge for me. Can I talk about this? Is it okay? Are people going to laugh at me? I was in fear, judgment, shame, guilt, all those things I had to overcome to be able
Yeah.
to shine my light and talk about things. And I'm guessing that's been a similar journey for you then.
Yeah, so I experienced sexual abuse as a child.
Mm,
And so I started my counseling or talk therapy when I was 23. And, for this 28, almost 29 years, I have been going through this process of truly understanding and healing myself. And, when I found out that I was the wounded healer or the spiritual teacher, I was like, oh my gosh, literally, I believe that my soul chose this path and this journey. And so, we have to, for us to tap into that feminine nature within us, we also need to get very vulnerable. I've done a couple of podcasts where I've talked about my childhood sexual abuse um, and not being supported by my parents the way
hmm.
that I needed because I didn't know how to ask to have my needs to be met. Like
Right.
there's so many things that I do when I do relationship coaching, and one of those things is asking to have your needs to be met. And we as a society have been taught not to do that. And so, what are your non-negotiables?
Yeah.
What are the needs that you need met? What's your vision for who you are and what's the value you bring to your relationships? Because even knowing those things about yourself, you can step up to the plate. And it is really interesting because I grew up in my world the way that I did, and one of my childhood needs is to feel emotionally and physically safe in my relationships with people. If I can't feel that, then I'm out because I need to be able to get real and raw and vulnerable and know that it's a safe space to share that with someone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, um, who were your like guiding lights? So you came out from this business where you sold the business, you went into yoga, but what was the moment for you? Who were your guiding lights? Did you see somebody doing yoga? Was it something why what was the
Yeah.
moment for you? I'm
So
trying,
I
I'm trying
actually,
to get to there. I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
think of the question, but you know what I mean, right?
It's all good. Yeah. So I actually started my yoga journey in my 20s. So I actually birthed my son naturally in a yoga squat. So I had practiced Bikram yoga in my 20s because that was the in thing to do, get in a room with a bunch of people and sweat all over each other. And then I did prenatal yoga when I was 29 with my son. I birthed him, like I said, in a squat position, which was pretty crazy, without drugs. And
Oh,
um, and then it just, like I say this to people. People don't really understand what intuition is. And intuition comes to you. And I truly believe that, again, universe is guiding us because I was babysitting rich people's homes. That's what I did with my property services company. I looked after multi-million dollar homes for people, and I was really good at it because I had great people pleasing tendencies. And so it was it was that little whisper. It was that little, like, you were put on this earth to do more than just babysit rich people's homes. And so I had this intuition, and I'm naturally intuitive, but I just have never trusted it. Again, that's a part of my chart.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, I have to say, like, universe was literally like, okay, well, if you're not going to listen, I'm just going to make it difficult for you. And it came down to a point where my husband and I got audited by the government. They took a ton of money. Like, there was just so many things that happened, and I was like, whenever you're ready to be done this, I'm good to go. And then and the reason that I went down this path of yoga was because I got really sick because I was living in that masculine energy. And so I literally was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go into lifestyle and wellness because I need to take care of myself. I need to become well. And again, the universe has literally just been throwing these breadcrumbs. And I say to people, if you can just follow the breadcrumbs that are being placed in front of you. So I always ask people, I'm like, do you see multiple numbers like 111 or 222? And they're like, oh, I do. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, universe is trying to talk to you. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? And I'm like, yeah. This is the way the universe talks to you. It doesn't, like, send a beam of light down. You must change your career. Like,
It's
it's not like
what I
that.
call the breadcrumbs. It's what I call nudges,
Yeah.
little nudges, right? So it's that little
Yeah.
whisper in your ear, and you're like, someone's telling me to go and be a teacher. What do you mean be a teacher, right?
Yeah. If I want to get creative or if I want inspiration, I go and have a shower and I
Yeah.
get in the shower. And all of a sudden, like, even this morning, I was just like, I literally, something just popped into my mind and I got out of the shower and I did a post because I was like, okay, this is what the needs to hear. And so I literally just follow these little breadcrumbs. My intuition comes differently to me. So while we've been having these conversations, I get full body goosebumps. People don't realize that we have clairs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the clairs,
And
where there's
even
like,
more so, I think these are going to come. The spirituality now is going to become
right.
more of an
Yeah.
everyday topic now. I'm so excited because
Yeah,
we've been
exactly.
in the
And so,
closet for years, right?
right, we can open up the closet and let our spirituality shine because we have these natural clairs. And so when people say to me, oh my God, like I have these whispers, or oh, I get dead people, or whatever, I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. And they're like, you don't think that's weird? I'm like, no, not at all.
No.
Because I believe that we've chosen our gifts prior to coming here.
Yeah.
We've chosen our path. We've chosen the people, the soul contracts. Like, these are my beliefs. And they seem to be coming true more so than anything.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, my soul has been here multiple times, and
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's like here
And
we are again. This time
dang,
we're not getting persecuted for it.
right? We're not getting burnt at the stake, but it
Not
really
getting
is,
drowned and burnt at the stake.
right? But I truly believe that we each have a gift to share with the world. And if people would just tap into that beautiful gift that they have, then the world would be a way better place than where we have been.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so the nines then. So let's touch on the. Can you just because we talked a little bit about this, and the year is this year is a nine.
Mhm.
And I'm a nine, so I know that's going to impact me a lot. And this humanitarian mission that you talked about, I remember when I was very young, I wanted to just sell everything I'd got. And when I saw the news that there were starving people in Africa, starving children in Africa, I remember thinking I just wanted to go and just and do it, but I couldn't, I just didn't because I was holding on to my material things going, are you crazy? You can't go and do that. But actually, I probably could have done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. but it's one of it's as a sensitive person and an empath and a humanitarian, it's very difficult for me, Adrienne, very difficult for me to watch. Well, I stopped watching the news years ago, but the adverts that come on sometimes when I do watch the television, which is not very often, and they come on, or YouTube as well is the same with the adverts when I'm watching podcasts, is this, the chaos and destruction and famine and war that's in the world. It's really quite disturbing.
Yeah.
And I have to switch off
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah, because the nine energy is deeply introspective and wise, but it's also very emotional. This is where the nine energy is about letting go of attachments. It's about these old patterns that we've been living for such a long time. And so anything that no longer serves you is time for you to let go. Like we're literally shedding this old identity that we've had, especially you as a nine. The nine cycle is actually like a karmic completion. And so when I look at someone's like energetic code, so for yourself personally, if you're born in July and 3, so you're a 7 plus 3 is 10. So your number is 1. So you're actually, if you think about it, this past year, when you had your birthday this past July in 2024, you started your 9 year cycle because it was
Right.
8 energy year. So currently, so you're actually going to be stepping into a 1 year energy on your birthday in July. And
Mm.
so this is what I do is you have your own divine timing cycle, you have your own cycles. And so as a nine, this is about your own spiritual growth and your humanitarian calling. This is about your emotions and time for you to reflect and not push yourself forward because in that 1 energy year, this is where you're going to plant new seeds. And so we have
Yeah.
this karmic completion, we have this emotional release, we have this spiritual growth, we have this humanitarian calling. It's a lot.
It's a
And
lot.
so you have the next couple of months for you to finish out and complete your cycle. And so how can you do that? So number one, I would embrace closure. Like honestly, just be like, okay, you know what? Thank you, universe, for, either your life changing or someone leaving your life. Practicing surrender. It's so huge for us to be able to just be like, hands off. Hands off the wheel. The humanitarian in you wants to give back. So maybe that's possibly you here on this podcast, helping other people. I think this is really huge because you're preparing to start fresh in this upcoming year that on your birthday. And so this is really intense. It's like you are in literally butterfly mode. You're in the chrysalis and you're literally breaking out because this next chapter that you have in your own personal life is about clarity and wisdom and guiding people. And it's a big thing that you've stepped into.
I feel it's a big year. I can feel the
Yeah.
energy. I can feel the
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Can you just relate that then to to this year? Because if
Mhm.
as a nine, so I said astrology, when we're talking about astrology, when we're talking about people, all the clairs opening up for people,
Yeah.
tapping into your intuition more. This is a big year for the collective,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And even this month, because it is an 11/2 month. So if you add the numbers of the year, so it's a 9 energy year, and we add that to February. So 9 plus 2 equals an 11. So we're
Right.
actually in an 11/2 month. So the fact that you and I are having this conversation in February makes so much sense because it is about tapping into our intuition. It is taking that deep inner wisdom that we have and starting to fly our flags. Like literally, if you got a freak flag, let's fly it.
Yeah, I've
Because
got one. I'm like, I'm waving
Woohoo!
it this year. I'm going, I'm coming out of the closet to the
Yeah,
spiritual world. I'm
yeah,
talking more
and
about my stuff. I am. It's true. And
yeah,
I'm diving deeper into my spiritual journey and the truth of who I am.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so this is what I say to people is that we have to stop hiding and this big secret because I run into people and I'm like, so are you spiritual? Like, I just need to know if we're on the same wavelength. And like I said, I got invited to a dinner last night where there was all women who were spiritual, and it was like the most beautiful container to have because we could just be ourselves and there was no competition. There was no, like, it was literally like, let's straighten your crown and then let straighten your crown. And it was really open, deep conversation where you could just be yourself and
Empowering.
there was no comparing, there was no judgment, there was none of that. And it
Yeah.
was like, okay, this is what the Aquarius energy is all about.
Communities, right? I've been saying
Yeah.
this. It's all about community, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's huge. And this is where I just, you know what? I just going to show up and I'm just going to be myself. I always say that people find and seek me when they're ready for their transformation, which is not the easiest thing to do. So I have people who literally just, and it's usually, I mean, I know my astrology, so I know who I'm supposed to work with. I started with astrology. It helped me get the basis because what I do is I actually work with an astro numerology system based on planets, astrology information, and also numerology and our energetic codes. It's been hidden from humanity, and so it's a beautiful thing, and it's
Can you
actually
show us?
based.
Can you show us the book, please? Because the
Yeah,
video will
so
be on
yeah.
YouTube. So,
So this is the book that my fellow numerologist wrote. So it's for numerologists who actually work with the code deck, so decode the deck. And there's only a few thousand of us numerologists here who practice this right here and right now.
right.
And so intuitively, I just, you know how some people use tarot? I use the deck of cards. And so before we got on this call, I speak to cards and I say, okay, cards, what do we need to hear?
Right.
What message do you have for me? And, I ask it, do you have any more messages? And the only card that flew out is the Jack of Diamonds. And so the Jack of Diamonds energy, just on a general sense, it is all about initiating to higher values. It is about our creativity in our businesses. And this is very nurturing, the Jack energy. So you're a Jack of Hearts. So
Yes,
the Jack,
apparently I'm the Jack of
yeah.
Hearts. Right.
So the thing is the Jack has both feminine and masculine energies to it, and it has that balance. And so this is what this is what we need to hear because the Jack of Diamonds is also about financial success. And so we need to lean into and trust our intuition when it comes to, working with ourselves. And this is why I say, go out and get yourself an oracle deck. Go out and get yourself, your first tarot deck. Or, I've had people who gift other things to people, which is always a great way to do it.
Yeah.
When a client starts working with me, I'm like, go get a journal and a pen. Go get yourself an oracle deck. Like, feel into this. This is our intuition, which we don't get taught, right?
Right.
So, yeah,
No. Well, that's because the education system is broke. The same as
right?
the financial system and all the other systems. So I wanted to just go back quickly and touch on, you said about, are you spiritual? Now, this is a funny question because years ago, my mom was asked the same question in the street. She said, are you spiritual or godly? Now, she knew that I was spiritual, although I was still half in the closet. So, but she knew I was not, I didn't follow religion. Right. It's just not for me. Um, and so that was the question I started with. And I wrote a book called The Journey, and it was my journey and how my spirituality developed. And it's very interesting. There's stories in there to help you, to guide you, and it's just from my experience. But it's a good question, and it's something that people always ask me, what is the difference between, spirituality and religion?
Hmm.
And I have a simple explanation, but I wanted to hear your take on
Yeah.
that, Adrienne.
So it's very interesting because I am in a relationship with my partner now, and he actually has a Mormon background.
Mm,
So he talks about religion. I'm like, ooh, tell me more. So I believe that religion is a dogma or a set of rules that someone needs to follow.
right.
Spirituality is like it's open to interpretation. Um, some people believe that that having crystals stuck in your bra is going to help you manifest. It's much more open, you know what I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
to interpretation, and
Yeah.
everyone has their own path. And actually, when I do work with people, I do actually when I work with clients, I say, do you have a religious background? And and the reason that I ask that question, I've been scolded by people by asking that by
Yeah.
coaches and things like that. And I said, no, the reason that I ask that
Yeah.
question is because do you believe in a higher being?
Yeah.
Do you believe that there is something out there beyond yourself and your ego that is guiding us?
Correct.
Because this is where people get the opportunity then to be like, yeah, I do. And then I'm like, okay, so and I have some people that I know that are so stuck on their religion that they're not willing to look at spirituality. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what you choose. That is
Yeah.
what you have chosen because those are really just beliefs and the stories that you're telling yourself.
It's true, right? It just
Yeah.
believes it's a set of rules that come with a set of consequences for not following those rules. And in fact, spirituality doesn't need rules because it's digging into the energetics of who you are, the essence of you, understanding you're a soul having a human experience, and
Yeah.
understanding that you know instinctively what is right and what is wrong, and start listening to your body for is that person good for me or not? Is this the right path to take or not? And it's about, you talked earlier about getting the chills and the goosebumps. And I feel that more and more these days as I
Mhm.
tap into meditations and energetics, and I talk about it more, and I'm walking the talk. I feel that, I go, how does this feel? Oh, it feels good. I can feel the tingles down my back. And I'm like, this is a great conversation.
Yeah.
Just this conversation now, I can feel it. I've got little tingles on my hairs on my arms. And
Yeah.
I can feel that this is a good thing to talk about. And it's the
Mhm.
same with other things. And we can just start small. How do you feel? Do you want tea or coffee? How do you feel about that? How does your body start with small things? You don't have to say, what career do I want to choose? But
Yeah.
that's because that's huge.
Yeah.
Start by testing yourself with little things.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think the big thing too is that this trust factor. We also this patriarchy that we've been living in and so on and so forth, we've been taught not to trust ourselves,
Yeah.
which is such a huge thing because yeah, like asking yourself questions. Like I was sitting at the pool the other day. We went to the local pool and I was sitting in the hot tub and this guy was just like I thought he had like an earbud in or something like that, but he was just chatting to himself and he was having a full-on conversation and I was like, good on you, buddy. Like you're talking to your guides or your spirit or whoever you want. He wasn't disturbing anyone. He wasn't being rude, but he was just literally sitting beside me and he was like, oh, yeah. I couldn't understand him, but I was like, huh, I wonder if he's actually talking to his guides. And,
Right.
I think we're going to see more and more of this because people do, as soon as we start tapping in and tuning in, because I've had people come to me or I've coached people who said, I thought I was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They've literally said, I thought I was crazy. And I said, no. I said, you need to like tap into this beautiful gift that you have. You've been given this life path, and this is the thing is with the deck of cards is you've actually been given a life script and it's up to you to follow it. And I have helped so many people by them just understanding their own life script and what you've come here to experience because each year on your birthday, you get gifted new energy. And it's actually a system that is mathematical. And so this is why numerology is the start of the universe because it is seen in nature, numbers. We wouldn't be able to have astrology without numerology.
Mathematics
So,
is the universe is made of numbers, right? And it's
right?
amazing. The more and more they look at it, they've looked at the pyramids all over the world, the
Yeah,
pyramids, and they said these people didn't communicate. How did they build these pyramids that actually align with each other and align with the stars? I mean,
right.
there's just energy. There's so much information here that's just been lost. And I think from this year going forward, we are going to see everybody opening up to spirituality. Well, not everybody, but more and more
Yeah,
in stages. And I think more and more information is going to be revealed. There were civilizations thousands of years ago before our history books are wrong.
yeah,
There's just so much, and you've got the chaos in the world. I mean, there is so much information that's going to
yeah.
happen, I believe, and I think that this year is pivotal for that because
It
it's at
is.
nine, Adrienne, right?
Yes, we're closing out cycles. We're
We,
closing out. And
yeah.
the thing is that there's things that are happening in the world. Tell a vision is literally programming people. And so,
Oh, yeah.
people are freaking out about what's happening. And I'm just like, no, don't worry about it. Just, you know what? Like
No,
have that in your purview, like have it here, don't have it here.
yeah,
Because when we have it here, we can't see beyond it. So if
yeah.
it's here, like if you're I listen, I hear things, I hear the drama and whatever else, and I'm like, okay, all right. And people get so caught up in this like three-dimensional world,
Yeah.
and they have no idea what's beyond that three-dimensional world of tech connecting with yourself. And this is the thing is that there's a reason why they've been trying to control us is because we are the superpower.
They were because
We
we're all powerful. And when we
oh,
realize that, that's what they're afraid of, right?
yeah, exactly. And this is why I think it's so understand why people need to understand their energetic codes is because if someone is a three energy, they're here to be creative and expressive. My partner is a five energy and he feels absolutely everything and everyone. And
Right.
so each one of our energetic codes is here to help guide us down these paths of what we're here to do. And then also the card system is here to help us with our job description. Because as I am the ace of spades within the card system, and my card is all about death, rebirth, and transformation. It's like, oh my goodness, I have really taken on a lifetime being a Master 11 and also being the Ace of Spades. What did I sign up for? And I was like, okay, you know what, Spirit? I got this, and that's
With
what
their
I've in
support. With their
and
support. And that's the thing.
right.
I've always, I don't listen to human advice. I listen to spirit's advice. I listen to my higher self's advice. I listen to my intuitive advice. But it takes time and practice
Yes.
to do that because you've got to unlearn, as you were saying, Adrienne, all the conditioning that's been piled on, going back ancestral, we're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
It's in our DNA, right? All the crap that's been piled on that to make us small and
Yeah.
suppress us and make us feel like we're nothing. My mother has got a great expression. She says, we are like mushrooms, Beth. They just feed us bullshit and keep us in the dark.
Oh my God, I would love to meet your mother.
Isn't that just great? She's got these corkers that she comes out with, Adrienne, and that's just one of them that I
Oh,
absolutely love. So
yeah.
let me this has been a great conversation. Let me just ask you about your because you talked about burnout and many women
Yes.
go through burnout. So how do you now prioritize your self-care and maintain your well-being?
Yeah. So I tap into my divine feminine. So even like, I've had a really busy week. I ran my free master class, which is still available if people want to watch it.
Mhm.
But I literally tune into what it is that I need. I do have a schedule, but like even this morning, I was like, I had a cup of tea and then I came from a very creative place. I read a little bit, I journaled a little bit, and it's taking the time to tune into yourself because we have been this hamster on the hamster wheel for so long. And I am blessed with where I'm personally at right now in regards to being okay in the sense of, having a house to live and food in my fridge and so on and so forth. So I do have that luxury at this moment in time, but I didn't in the past. And I really felt it. And so this is where it comes down to tapping into your own spiritual practices. Like you said, taking a bath. Like, honestly, a bath at the end of the day with some Epsom salts, it is so good for our soul. Like you said, go for a walk. These are the spiritual, people don't realize this. These are actual spiritual practices, grounding yourself, getting a grounding mat. I actually have a grounding mat
Yeah.
underneath my feet while I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm also on the basement floor of a house, so I have that concrete underneath of me. But these simple things to connect back into our body, because we've lived up here for so long that we need to come down into here and
We
into
need
the
to come
heart
into our
center.
heart space, right? Our heart center. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah,
And even if you do live in an apartment or whatever, you can just close your eyes and imagine your feet sinking through the concrete, through the baseboards, through everything,
yeah,
through the cellar, into Mother Earth. And you can imagine that in your mind and hooking on. Just imagine roots coming from the bottom of your feet, and then you just hook onto the roots of Mother Earth. That's a really easy grounding meditation, isn't it? That can be done
yeah,
in 10 seconds, right?
yeah.
Just, you know.
And this year that we're experiencing is all about letting go. So take a look at your schedule. What are you doing that you don't want to be doing anymore? Who are the people that you're hanging out with that you don't want to hang out with anymore? Like, this is a year of completing those cycles, getting rid of this stuff. Even myself, I don't like, I have a home, I'm renting. The only possession I have is a vehicle to get me from point A to point B, and my computer that I'm talking to you. Like, I don't have a lot of material possessions. And we've been living in this materialistic world for such a long time
Right.
where I want people to just take a step back and say, you know what? I have a saying, and I say it quite often, is we come into this world with nothing and we leave this world with nothing, right?
Yeah. Remember that. Yes.
Right? And so the thing is that all your materialism, your cars, your house, your whatevers, it means nothing to anybody else because who you truly are, life is not about what you have, it's about who you are. It really truly is. And if we cannot see beyond that, then that is the ego. And we're leaving that ego in its place from here on out.
Yeah. Well, it's retail therapy, isn't it, that you're talking about? Is that we've
Yeah.
found our connection and our if we're depressed or lonely, we found it in buying things. We
Our
find
worth. Yeah.
our values are just in the material things that we've got. What happens, we realize when you lose those things, actually, they're not that important.
No.
So what are some of the unexpected benefits or rewards that you've gained from this journey?
Oh my gosh. I found myself, to be totally honest with you, as a child who grew up with the trauma that I did and all the work that I have found. I didn't know who this girl was for such a long time. So I can honestly say that I love myself so much. And the relationships that I have, even though I don't have a very good relationship with my parent, I've also learned how to set boundaries. I've learned how to ask for my needs to be met. Like, there's so many great, juicy things, but honestly, at the top of the list is that self-love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lovely. That's nice.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me finish with questions that I ask all my guests.
Sounds
If you
good.
could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh. I was 22 and I was traveling New Zealand and Australia, and that was when I was living out a lot of my trauma that I experienced. And I read the Celestine Prophecies when I was 22.
I
Yeah,
read it when I was 26.
yeah. So if I could go back to my younger self, I would say you need to understand this book on a deeper level.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book. It's one of my books on my reading list
Yeah.
for my community.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the other ones I read as well. But that was the first one. That's the first meditation that I ever did.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a movie out now too. So if you don't want to
Yeah.
read a
Oh,
book, you can
right.
watch the movie.
Right. Okay. I didn't know there was a movie. No, I read the book when I in yeah, 1996. I read the book when I was 26.
Yeah.
And so we would have read the book about the same time,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually.
Hmm.
Which is awesome. And I did the meditation in that book, and that was the first time that I got the energy and connected to the other side properly.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Purposely.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Wow, that's great. I just love that we both read the same book. Okay, so the final question is, what do you hope your story will inspire in other women, and what message do you want to convey to them or finish with?
Oh gosh. You know what is tap into your authentic self. I think this is one of the things, like it's a catchphrase, be your authentic self. But the thing is truly tap into your energetic code and who you are and show up as that person unapologetically because people need what you have. And I hear of so many women that are leaving these masculine careers to come into coaching or counseling or whatever it is that they do. But again, I need you to take the pain that you've experienced in your lifetime and turn that into purpose to help the collective. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree. That's what I did, corporate to coaching, right?
Yeah.
That's where I went. Best move I ever made, ladies, let me tell you. No regrets here. Okay, a
Awesome.
million. Go on, sorry.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, you know what? And I think that that's the thing is that if you, again, we're in this nine energy year. So if there's anything that is like, niggly, it's just like digging in your ribs and you're just like, I'm afraid to take that step. Just trust that the universe is there to help support you. When I've been on my deepest, darkest, hit rock bottom, literally I got a phone call and I look back at that and I go, thank you, universe. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Just trust.
Trust and thank you is a big one. Gratitude is a huge one, which we'll have as another that's a whole other podcast.
It is. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, a
Thank you
million
so
thanks.
much.
A
Yeah,
million
this
thanks to Adrienne for joining me today. Thanks to our audience for hanging out. We hope you found it inspiring and empowering, and you'll find all you need to know about both of us in the details below. So until next time, this is Beth and Adrienne signing off. Bye bye.
bye-bye. Thank you.